Hey guys, Fred Hope here,
And Brandon Scheid.
and we work in the R&D department at Slingshot Sports.
And we are here at Real Watersports today to tell you about one of the things that we are extremely passionate about, and that is hydrofoiling. Fred, how long have you actually been hydrofoiling for?
I learned to foil in 2015 as a way to maximize my time on the water.
Yeah, okay. So I learned in 2011, kind of the same thing. Like, it started to come out, and I was like, oh, is this a thing? I just thought it looked so amazing, and I just had to give it a try. And when I first learned, I don't know about when you first learned, but the hydrofoils are pretty bad. You couldn't even really buy one. We tried.
Yeah, I couldn't pick up my foil at the time. It was 50 pounds, and I weighed 110.
Yeah, so the sport of hydrofoiling has come. It's embraced by the wind sports community as well as surfing and behind the boat. It seems like it's here to stay. What about hydrofoiling is like, why do you love it? Like, what gets you, why do you hydrofoil so much?
Yeah, when I think of foils, I think of the efficiency around them. You can go out in a lot of conditions. There's really not a lot of drag, and it's quite fluid. The way you can turn, there's basically 3 axes, right? You can go in the pitch, in the yaw, and in the roll.
Yeah, okay.
So it's pretty neat to kind of start to figure out how a foil works and how to control it with little tiny muscle movements.
Yeah. For me, it's always been twofold. One, it's a session expander. So I got tired of going to the beach and getting skunked. You basically can't be skunked anymore.
Yeah, unless it's glassy.
Nearly impossible. And then 2, on the water, you're open, you're no longer constrained to staying upwind. You can go anywhere you want with freedom, and that freedom makes it feel like you're even more like a sailboat. You have so much ability to go anywhere you want.
The angle's increased by what, 20 degrees?
Yeah, I think, yeah. So you're getting faster upwind, you're more efficient, meaning you're flying smaller kites, and the sensation of gliding, people try to compare it to like powder, but it's really
like flying.
It's really unlike anything.
Yeah.
Like, I do all these weird sports, and it for sure foiling is like its own weird, amazing, life-changing thing. And the best part about the foil is it kind of joins all the sports, right? Before we had windsurfing and kiting and surfing and wakeboarding all in these different categories, and they all realized that together in the middle is the foil, and they all feature, like, it's really great in all those sports to use that piece of technology. And now you see everybody wake surfing is wake foiling. A ton of kiteboarders yesterday were all kite foiling. Winging obviously is a hydrofoil based sport.
Yeah.
And then what's happening in the world of like foil surfing and tow foiling is unbelievable.
Yeah, it opens up what you can do on the water. When
Yeah.
you surf foiling, you can pump out to the next wave. If you're behind a boat, you can go 10 waves back if you want.
Yeah.
Kiting, you get out every day. Winging, it's much more accessible.
Yeah,
It's
I
quite
mean,
nice.
I cannot imagine my shred life without my hydrofoil. Like, it would not work anymore.
Yeah, what percentage of time do you spend on
I'm
foil?
50-50 on foil and conventional board probably
me too.
these days,
And
especially.
it doesn't have to be light wind either.
No, we ride in strong wind often on 3 and 4 meter kites. Like I said, it's so easy to go jump on the river and go for a 10-mile upwinder just for fun,
yeah.
just because you can.
And it's not that tiring. It's really easy on your knees. You're not hitting the chop.
Yeah.
You're kind of riding above it.
Okay, so as you guys can see, we both love hydrofoiling. we literally love it. Is in our blood. So we want it to be in your blood too. So let's demystify / help figure out how you can achieve your hydrofoil success. And the first thing that we want to talk about is choosing the right gear for success. So Fred, I know there's kite and wing. We don't want to get into too many specifics too deep. What is a successful kite hydrofoil kit look like for a beginner?
Yeah. Essentially, you want a big board that you can touch down on the water with, because your first couple days on the foil, you're going to be very unstable.
Right, so we've seen you riding the tiny little lunch trays,
Yeah.
but I'm not a lunch tray guy
No.
at first when I start, right?
Yeah, you want a board that's around 140 centimeters long,
Okay.
so that when you touch down, it doesn't go underneath the water, kind of like surfboard size, where you can ride it on the water without feeling uncomfortable.
So heavy, high surface area, you want something that's easy to ride.
Yeah, you generally want low volume so that it doesn't kind of bounce you around when you're on the water either.
Right, yeah.
Flatter bottom.
I don't want to
well.
toot our own horn, but we do have a great line of hydrofoil boards called the Dwarf Craft. They come in a variety of sizes, and the larger sizes are actually perfect for learning how to hydrofoil.
Yeah, tons of options to put your straps, long tracks to move the foil around.
Yeah, okay, so
and good
board, we
surface
want
area.
high surface area. What about my mast? Do I start on a tall mast? Where do I start there? What's the best success there?
Yeah, so Slingshot came up with this thing, what was it, 7 years ago, called Learn to Fly.
Yeah,
where
okay.
It basically had a system where you bought 3 masts that were different lengths. And the idea behind that is when you're beginning, you're on a short mast so that when you overfoil, you don't fall from 9 feet up. You
Yeah.
fall from like 2 feet up.
Yeah,
And
okay.
So minimizes impact, saves your energy, and just makes it much less intimidating.
Okay, so we're
72 centimeters, 62 centimeters. That really makes it easy to control the foil and not have too much leverage over the
yeah,
foil.
okay. And then how about my lower? So a lower is comprised of a front wing, a stabilizer, and a fuselage. What am I looking for in that
Yeah.
kind of setup?
Yeah, front wings, we have tons of sizes, and it gets really confusing, but essentially for kiting, the sizes are between 600 and 1,300 square centimeters. So you're starting out kiting, you want a 1,300 square centimeter. You would want that because it gives you stability at slow speeds. You foil before going 20 miles an hour, so you don't feel like you're out of control when
Yeah,
you get
okay.
out.
And we won't go too deep into the nuances of everything foil, but when Fred talks about surface area, we're talking about the physical lifting surface area of the foil front wing. So we are looking, again, for wings that are, when I'm learning, on the larger side of the surface area so that I get smooth, consistent, stable lift, right? Because I have to learn how to fly essentially this underwater airplane underneath me. Okay, so I'm looking for large-ish surface area front wing. I'm looking for a short mast. I'm
Wow.
looking for a board that has high surface area, not necessarily high volume. I don't want like a super floaty board, but I want something that's stable, right?
Yeah. The next piece of equipment is the fuselage.
Yeah, okay.
There's many different lengths. The shorter the fuse, the more unstable. The longer, the more stable.
Okay, so a longer fuse is gonna help me have more stability.
Yeah, and then on the rear end, you have the stabilizer, which is like the rear wing on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger that is, the less likely the foil is going to be pitch unstable, which is being out of control while going up and down with the foil.
Yeah, okay. Do you have a particular foil that you would recommend from Slingshot that
Yeah.
that you love to learn on, or you recommend for people to learn on?
Yeah, we have one of the most sold front wings that we sell. It's called the 633.
Yeah, okay.
1,300 square centimeters. Comes with a fuse that's 710 centimeters long, so it's pretty stable in that regards. And we have a big stabilizer called the PS400 that gives you just the right amount of drag to hold you stable and not let you just get out of control when you're getting up.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty straightforward, easy for kite. For winging, I think as this comes to fruition, we found a different set of foil equipment actually works better. There are some crossovers. For sure, shorter masts are going to be lower drag through the water for the less efficient water start that you have in the wing. So we're looking at 72 masts to make sure you have enough room to fly, but not too much to get to the top floor. Again, we are in agreement that we want the long fuselage. We want the most stability possible, as well as we want the most stable rear wing. So again, we're sharing 90% of the stuff in the lower. The big difference in winging is the surface area of our front wing. So while kiteboarding, we're looking at, 1,000 to 1,300 is considered a big wing for kite foiling. We're looking more at 2,000 to 2,400 square centimeters for a big, comfortable wing and winging.
Yeah.
And those are going to be more relative to your weight, more so even than kiteboarding, because you have to physically get your mass moving with this wing, and the water starts a little bit more
Yeah,
involved.
winging, the power pulls you forward versus kiting, it almost pulls you up. So
Right.
That, in addition to a bigger board that is heavier, you need more surface area to carry your weight.
Yeah, so we're looking at big surface area front wing, and again, Slingshot has an amazing front wing for that. It's our E series in our Phantasm line. It comes in a variety of sizes, the larger ones reaching up into those large surface area wings. They offer great stability, massive sweet spot, and they work really great for beginners or people in low wind conditions, or maybe even a heavier rider.
Yeah.
The final thing that I didn't touch on was your board size. In winging, we're looking at much larger volume boards. So
Volume is your friend. It holds you up in the water.
yeah, you don't need to be afraid to be too cool, like, oh, I have to get on a small board. Most beginners are beginning on like 140 liter boards, even bigger, to achieve success, especially if they're a little bit less coordinated, or they're really big, or maybe this is their first foil sport. We're looking for that stability. Okay, so that kind of nails the gear we set up for success. what's the next thing that we kind of want to choose? We have all our gear. I show up at the beach. It's really light. Should I go out on the water, or? I mean, foiling's for light wind, right?
Yeah, winging though, when you're learning, you really want a lot more power than you'd expect, right? If you're trying to get up on this large craft when you're really efficient and you don't know how to handle the wing, you need a decent amount of wind to just pull you up, so you're not trying to figure out so many things at the same time.
Yeah, I kind of find the same for kite foiling. Is like,
yeah,
when I want someone to succeed, I say, hey, take the same size kite that you would take to go ride right now. You're not even going to ride the hydrofoil your first session, basically.
Yeah, you just keep it on the water and you're trying to get comfortable.
And so making sure you're choosing the right conditions for success are really important. We want water depth, so we don't want to be bonking into the bottom all the time, so we want to make sure we have adequate water depth.
You want generally flat conditions. Large swell, or it's very hard to control the foil on the water if you're going through large swell, because there's so much energy down
there. So we want some flat-ish water. And it sounds like in the beginning, while hydrofoiling is something that we can practice in extremely light wind, we don't want to take our first sessions on a super light wind day.
That's how you end up with something called wing foot, where you basically chew off the top of your foot.
Yeah.
If it's light, you generally fall more often, and so you're going to waste a lot of your energy, and you could skin yourself a couple times on the top of the board. So.
And then the last thing that goes with conditions is obviously choosing the right spot to do this. So we talked about water depth, but you also want to make sure you have a plan for if you end up maybe too far upwind or way further downwind than you thought you were going to be. So plan for a couple outs to have success. Give yourself room to lose ground as well as give yourself room to learn.
Yeah, make sure there's something downwind of you that you can aim for.
Yeah, don't
do it in offshore
Don't
conditions.
launch from Cape Point on an offshore wind and just off into the ocean. Off you go.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to go upwind at first, and then it's going to be hard to go downwind second, right?
Yeah.
Once you start riding the foil, it's really hard to turn downwind because you lose that stability.
Yeah, the kite or wing becomes like the anchor point that you lean off.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got gear, we've got conditions. Is there anything else that I should know before I get into the water with this sharp carbon hydrofoil thing?
It's basically like a blade beneath you, so you really want to make sure you're not kicking back and forth. What I tell people is to cross their legs. When you cross your legs, you generally don't move your legs.
Yeah.
Then you use your arms. You always want to use your arms to navigate around the board, to turn the board, handle the wing, all of that. So that's really how you keep yourself from kicking the foil.
Yeah, okay, so you want to maybe have some time or awareness around the fact that there's now this large hydrofoil hanging underneath your board. For those of you that aren't super comfortable, you may be incorporating an impact vest or a PFD at this point, just in case you need to spend some time in the water.
A helmet.
I would agree with 100%. You. I wouldn't say a helmet is a bad idea at this point. Sometimes when you crash, stuff happens and you could potentially come in contact with your board or your foil, and having that helmet there is gonna give you some safety. So some safety equipment, some general know-how, make sure you kind of understand that the foil is now in the water with you, and that'll kind of set you up for success. And then my final tip personally is that the journey is worth the destination is worth the journey. So foiling is, you're not going to pick it up your very first time you go in the water. You're probably going to be more frustrated.
It's hard. Yeah, it's definitely hard, especially when you don't go out in the right conditions, which when you're learning, you generally don't know what the right conditions are.
Yeah.
So be ready to get frustrated and figure it out slowly. But then once you start putting things together, the progression is so fast, and it's really awesome to see people on the water in a year.
I think that's also part of the fun, right? If you've plateaued in your kiteboarding and you're like, man, I just go out and do the same stuff all the time. You go to foiling, it's frustrating, you're learning a new thing, but like each day you're learning something and you like get addicted to like wanting to master that skill. And so it becomes like a game to get better and better and better. And that just feels good to improve your personal skill and learn something new. It's good for your brain, it's good for your body. And it's sure a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it can be social. You can go with your friends.
Yeah, you can talk while you hydrofoil.
Yeah, it's quiet. There's no spray, right? You're not like charging at 30 miles an hour. You can go 15 miles an hour and be right next to your buddy.
Yeah, I will.
Sometimes we hit each other with our wings just for fun because it's pretty easy to do when you're in light wind.
Yeah, it certainly feels more communal than maybe going kiteboarding just by yourself and like all you get from someone is like, off they go. Okay, so we've realized that you pick conditions for success. You make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. You have a little bit of protection. You make a plan for your adventure. You choose the right gear, and you're going to have massive success with this wonderful side of wind and water sports or foil sports, whatever you want to call it. But the best part is we just want you to join the club with us so that you're having fun on the water as well.
Yeah, it's a great sport with great people in it. Very inclusive, very easygoing, and everyone wants to help each other.
Yeah, and again, if you have any further questions, of course, reach out to your local shop. RealWatersports.com has a plethora of information about all things foil that can steer you in the right direction.
Can't wait to see you on the water.